last night. That several scripture that you will speak of breast, lie between two breasts and the rest upon the breast. You may wonder why when you have this starting you speak a lot about breast and woman breast and leg and back and a deep one speak about that. So for those of you, if you can last between this, you can pick it up back, and I said before, we have a tape. You can pick it up back and so we have some sort of basic ground that cover. So we want to continue from here. Hearing about sexual part from our youth somewhat chain us to what we like. Why you like certain part of a person, why you like certain part of a woman. You just did not just born come like certain part of a woman. You like it based upon the environment and the conversation that you hear while you're going upon what they put emphasis on. And because a lot of emphasis placed on these certain parts of individual, we grow up looking at that certain era, but these body parts a certain way. And so we were trained, whether we think it is or not, we were trained how to identify these members. As a young man, I can remember hearing the older guys would have said, wow, did you see her butt? I don't know if you ever hear sisters, maybe you don't hear too much of that slang, but you hear other men comment on woman butt. And from a young boy, you hear that girl have a nice butt, and they use the other name to describe. So you grow up, started to think about a woman butt round and nice is something that you desire. You did not just born desiring that. You hear the slang, the comment, and they emphasize it. And so you hear older man saying, man said, she is fine. You learn all those things by how you grow up and the things that you hear. Man look at her butt or her breast. Most of the man observe a woman, she's taking good look at her bottom, her butt, and they take good look at her breast. Or she have nice tits or nice breast, round breast, whatever breast it is. And so you grow up into a society that remind or shape that breast is the thing to go. I want a woman with a nice breast. Where do you get that from? You pick it up by hearing it from other men saying it as you grow up, and these embedded in you. And so you give you a mindset. So I'm saying this topic is very graphic, and it's not to lead you on, it's to put you into the right path, how to train your mind to think. Because our mind have been trained to think the wrong way. And so therefore, as I said last night, when you look at the opposite sex for a lot of men, they look at a sex tool in order for looking at the person, that individual, and respect them as an individual. So emphasis put on these things. This is like the king. This is like the kind of talk that bring excitement and arouse emotion, and these eras that I mentioned. When you start to talk about these things, people get excited. You never hear man in a conversation talking about woman, but man, girl have nice tits, man, nice breasts, and her butt look good, stomach's flat. And so you grow up, man, I want a girl with a big butt. Where do you get that from? Based on the conversation that you keep on hearing, whether on the street or around you. And you come into the church with the same mindset, and it doesn't change. And there is nobody is teaching us how to counteract that. And so therefore you find folks in church struggling how to deal with the opposite sex. They're struggling how to look at each other and what they should be thinking. So every time some man look at a woman, the only thing he can think about is sex. So he has a problem because of what have been structured. And a lot of that have to do with his upbringing and the environment that he go. And so you listen to these, it make you feel turned on, your emotion goes. These are like a traditional thing happening based on where you live. Are simply passed down from generation to generation, Not only do men do it, but women also do it as well. And I was telling you last night that I walked into a doctor's office and some girl having a conversation and I overhear them talking. And these girls like tall man. If I was telling him, if he's short, I ain't talking to him. And I ain't looking down at no man. I must look up in his face. This was the conversation that these young ladies have. And so therefore, they will grow up looking to find a man who's taller than them. Right? Because of what they grow up believe, the type of man that they look at. And I tell you, if you listen to this teaching and what I'm saying, you will learn a lot of things, because I already passed through a session that I tell you that everybody have an image of the type of person that they would like in their mind. And so therefore they go looking to say they could find that image into other individuals. So focus, place, and age. And women also do the same thing. He is so fine. You know, you're going to look at it and say, oh, that brother looks so fine. He's so fine means that his butt is big to women. To men, a firm, pointed chest is really attractive. That's why you have some women know that take emphasis in putting on certain bra. And when they walk upright because they want their breast to point out, because it attracts certain men. They do it. Now, I said last night that folks will say in church, why is he looking at her the way she dressed and trying to look at her breast or whatever? I'm saying, she's no better than the man who's looking at her. Because you know man will look at you, that's why you dress that way. So you don't wonder, why am I looking at you and didn't see your breast or whatever? So why did you wear that low-cut blouse for me to see your breast? You want somebody to see you. And so therefore, you are indulging to lust. Because I grew up in the environment that emphasis put on breasts. So if I see breasts, I'm going to look. And I'm trying to reshape that mindset for the church. People struggle with this issue because they don't know how to deal with it. The reason why they have it because of the environment that they grow in, the talk that around them, what they grow up and see, what they hear. And so it develops and becomes a part of the way they think and process things. So people will joke, women will say, I want my chest to be pointed and I want to look certain way. Even if it don't big enough, they will go to the doctor and get some gel or something pumping it to look big. Because they want to be really look attractive. Sometimes women like to look at a man with a private parts, whatever, or his mindset to see if they can imagine whatever private party have, what if you want to put it, if you say graphic, what size, what desk, can he manage, can he hang in bed?
That's the reason why a lot of women like to go for tall men, generally, because a lot of times they find that the tall men would have
more larger private parts. I know you can find on the internet that they're selling stuff to give certain private part larger and all type of stuff. Reason for all of that is because of the thought and the mentality and the frame of mind and the environment that you grow up in. So people don't put emphasis on wanting these, so they will go to the next level in order to see that same mindset walking in the church. And that's why folks struggle, even in the church, to maintain their own relationship, to serve God and to focus. But I want to help you, I help all of us to focus right. If you all get the foundation lesson that I said, I already mentioned to you, Eve and Adam was naked in the garden and it wasn't a problem because their mindset was different. Until sin stepped into the picture, the first thing that they did is to clothe themselves. Now their mindset became tarnished. Your mindset had to right. So these are what some folks will do. So men will start to try to get certain organ big. And then women, if man like fat lips, then try to get some injection in their lip and try to get this. And I was telling you something like that. Some ladies' butt is not big enough. They get pad to put there to look big because you can see where underclothes is. So they don't like, they want to have big butts. Some of them don't have none. And most folks don't teach us in church because they don't think they're relevant. When you get the point what I'm teaching at, you will be a better person than struggle. My topic is for this whole series is about the struggle that you have. People struggle with these issues. People feel embarrassed over these issues. People go and spend money to get these problems corrected, what we call a problem, when it was no problem. That's where God created you. Anytime we started to look at a person and accept them as a person for who they are, we get rid of these issues because of our mindset. All of this is a part of the struggle with sexuality. Much of it is actively. And conversation from a little boy when I realized a girl was different than I was, I become curious. You look boy and a girl and play until they start to grow and all of a sudden it becomes curious. You see this display in your household with your daughters and your son. You have your daughter and she will run around the house, take off her private underwear and naked bird, running around the girl, running around. And as soon as she started to get bigger and whatever, she started to hide. No, she's coming from the bathroom and walking before that. She like, and then dress back and start to hide now because they are different. The mindset now started to change. Something else started to react. And it started to become the issue. Nobody can see you naked when you start to come up. Why? Because when the mindset began to change, and you develop and you keep on developing, and then you start to learn what to look at a person for. How you know and look at for? Why concern me if you would have a cute nose? People would put emphasis and say, well, I want a woman with a very cute looking nose. And some folks will even take an operation to get a cute looking nose. Some like a straight nose. Even that's why people have a problem with their complexion. They bleach. If you're too white and you feel like you're too white, then you go lie down in the sun, rub eyeliner and you try to get dark. Nobody's satisfied because you're trying to fit in. Right? And this becomes a struggle because you struggle because you can't look like the other person. And it becomes an issue in church. Right? So you start to observe various parts and curious to know the other. Does she have what I have in her clothes? All of this came from youth. Yeah, all of this came from your upbringing. We seek to see that which is private, and in order to have victory in this era, we must first recognize that these eras are highlighted sexual points that could be eras that could arouse our flesh. Because the emphasis on this, we wanted to see these eras. You know one thing that I learned when I was growing up? If you pass in a bush, a woodland, and nobody would not even stop to look at the woodland. But you just go over there and weed out all the grasses and put up a fence where nobody can see over there anymore. And put a sign and say you're going to take $10 to come in. You find how many persons line up outside just to go in to see that part that they drive around. Because a lot of you start to hide it. People don't feel like they need to see it. And most likely, most men now don't really turn on by face. They turn on a private part. When breast is covered, most of them see too much breast. So if they start to see breast exposed, it's going to bring them attention. One of the things that get men attention sometimes in church, if you man have on a dress and their split is too long and he started to see her leg and they look beautiful, his attention gone like, man, she have a beautiful leg. And for the whole time he ain't thinking about nothing but, that girl leg is beautiful. And I would like to have her. Why? Because those areas always cover. And then when you cover up, your mind started to think away. And the emphasis and the legs put on that. People put emphasis on a lot of stuff. Men go out to try and find out who have the most cutest toes. Or did you look at her toes? So because of that, people will spend all type of stuff sometimes just to look right because they want to take the attention of somebody. The emphasis, you walk into the church with the same mindset. Why am I saying all of that? Because I want to change your mindset from stop looking at the opposite sex as a sex tool and start to recognize them as a person. Praise the name of Jesus. So these points highlighted. Once we determine these spots, then we can train our eyes not not to look there. So, what in other words, a woman wearing a pants, you look straight in front of her because you want to see her private part. You're hoping that you could see through the pants and see her naked. You know, you just imagine. Some people, I just stand here to imagine what she has on. Why am God earth? I'm going to sit in there wasting my time. Imagine what she's wearing, what he's wearing. Thank God my mindset is not like that. You got to that level, you lost him. You lost him. And the reason why, because you grow up and inherit that frame of mind from other folks. Those becomes a highlighted tool and your imagination start to run wild. We as Christians, we should start to refocus our imagination. This type of mindset is a worldly mindset. We need to change it. Change it, even though it takes you years to develop it, but we can stop it. So in other words now, so what do? How to change it? Because folks coming to church crying all the time, they are struggling with issues. How you change it? Don't spend that amount of time focusing on areas that you're not supposed to be focusing on. You sit in church and start to look at the sister. She look good. You know, the longer I look at you, is the more beautiful you look. And then you're going to say, well, when you, as you reach this and like, you know, we never know, say she looks so beautiful. I think I really need her now. Train your eye from what you see. We learn this song when we were growing up in church. Watch your eyes, what they see. What you hear, what they hear. Because what you see, the lust of the eye. And you hear some stuff that you should not even get in trouble with what you hear. Train your ears to what you listen to. You can be in here, people talking, and you don't hear a thing that they're saying. See the woman, I don't have to be thinking about anything. Based upon what you embrace, then you start to focus on it. So you look at me, and when you look at another sister or brother, what are you focusing on? What do you see? Who do you see? Did you see leg, breast, and thigh, or did you see another person? And that's why we're lost coming, because you don't see the person as another person. You start to see them as a sex tool, ready to go to bed, ready to lie with the person. You don't respect the person as an individual. That's why, as I said Sunday night, that's why the church speak about our sister just properly. Because when you just a certain way, you are encouraged the idea that already in the opposite person to want to lust after you. You talking about he looking at you lust. He grew up that way. He can't even help it because not even know how to train his mind, not even to focus on that area. If his mind was able to control and then, focus on the person's breast. I don't focus on the person's butt or in the private part or her legs or her thighs. Focus on the individual. Start to relate to her like how Adam and Eve used to relate. Relate to the person as a person. And I told you all the time that if a brother started to talk to her sister and she dressed appropriately, that he don't have to lust and talking to her, he's going to learn to respect her as a woman. So when you married her, you respect her as a person. You're not marrying her because you were emotionally moved, or you was a sex move, or a sex drive, or a sex, and then you have a problem later. Why? Because you approach the opposite sex the wrong way. We need to make sure that you're talking to the person as a person, and this person is nice enough that I think I can live with them together. Because most of the time, the looks don't change when they are in divorce. Not the look. Her breast never shrink. Her butt never shrink. But yet the divorce. So what causes the divorce? Now what pulls you to her? No, they are there. Because you just can't deal with her personality or her person. Or she can't deal with his personality and person. So why am I looking at the person, looking at the person sexual? And looking at the person, I should be looking at the person as another person. Just I would look at another man. I don't feel no way I'm talking to him. I don't have to think anyway. Just like two baby or two child will be playing and it doesn't bother them. Who they're playing with. If you're a male or female. They just look at you. The Bible, we want to speak as the Bible says, we're neither male or female. Get your mindset, start to think that way when you look at another person. Whether they are male, whether they are female. Respect them as a person. So, I'm saying all of this tonight because I want to jog something out of her mind, which is already in a lot of her mind, that we need to change. And that caused people to be struggling in church and being worried and fall into the same trap over and over and over and over. So we have a highlighted spot where we want to look. Then we also have the responsibility not to dress in a fashion that allow others to be tempted. So we don't have to dress lustful. Sister don't have to dress to expose her leg, expose her breast, expose her thigh. You don't have to expose your neighbor. You don't have to expose none of that. Why? Because you want somebody to look at you and say, some people say, oh, we don't put on it because we never think nothing. Yeah, you want to look good. Did you put it on because you said I want to serve God today? Did you put it on because you want to fill with the Holy Spirit? Did you put it on because you want to be connected to God today? Think. Why did you put it on? Most of the time you hear people, I want to look good. Where in the scripture, God's going to worry about how you look in a dress. If you look old or you look young and frisky. It's our mindset. Anytime we start to get rid of those body parts and how to imagine highlighted parts, when you start to remove them out of your thinking, out of your mind, you learn to relate to people better. Learn to relate to people. We'll get rid of a lot of the lusting in church. Fornication and adultery, you'll get rid of a lot of that. Because now you're going to start to value people. And value your brother. And value your sister. There are certain things you will not even cross your boundary because your mindset is different. Bishop, what are you talking about? Remember, the Bible does tell us about some of this. Let's read the first scripture that we want to use in Matthew chapter 5, verse 28. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 28.
But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already.
So when you steer, when you start to look at a woman as a sex tool, you already committed adultery. When you look at a woman desire to have a sexual activity, committed adultery without even touching her because they're already coming from inside. You look at a woman and you start to unstrip her with your eyes, you committed adultery. As I said before, we need to start to look at people, whether male or female, as a person. Respect the person as another individual. And when you start to go like that, you're able to relate to the person better than looking at the person of the opposite sex and say, oh, she has big breasts, big butt, lip fat, round nose, long nose, sharp nose, star nose, or eyelashes. These are highlighted parts. If people put emphasis on it to get it right, because they highlighted it, and so it appears in the mind of a person. When they see these things, they're being turned on. You're being attracted to them. And they say, oh, because I am attracted to the person. You should not marry the person because you're attracted to them. Marry the person because you respect them as a person. And you want to live with the person together, to make life together. It's not about sex. Sex doesn't come to make life. You're passing through on the streets having sex with persons that have no form of contact with them, don't want a life with them. They just want to enjoy themselves and move on. You walk into the church, you can't have the same mindset. That's why you have struggles and issues in church, and folks coming crying, bawling because of issues. Your mindset is off. Person flirt with you and tell you a few things that you feel good. The next thing you know, you're in bed. Your mindset is off. Is that what you really want to do? Lie with everybody that comes in bed? Or do you want to be able to materialize your life and have a structured life? Change your mindset. Change your mindset. You look at a woman and stare at a woman or a man. That's what the Bible said. And lust after the person. You're committing a fornication and adultery already in your heart, which is the spiritual realm. Now it's obvious that in our world, or especially in America, all women aren't going to be comfortable to holiness and cover up. So how can I avoid lusting and looking in the wrong fashion? So I'm touching on both while I'm speaking. In other words, so I'm telling you how to look, what to see, how to approach. Now, as I said last night, the person who dress the way to captivate those who have the image in their head is as bad as the person seeing you and looking after you, because you already know that man you're going to want to say, well, she look good based upon how you put yourself. And when he's saying that, it's not by respecting you as a person, it's by a sexual way and a sexual desire. Now, on the other hand, and the reason why this message or this teaching is there, on the other hand, I'm teaching you how to think and think positively. That means even if she should dress loose and showing her breast or her thigh or her hip or her belly or whatever she want to show, because of your mindset thinking about a person, that would not make you go into the realm of lusting, because you doesn't value body parts. You doesn't value breasts, butt, and thigh. You value person. And because you value person, in spite of what the person exposed to you, it would not change your mindset, because your mindset is to look at another person, the opposite sex, as a person and respect them as a person. So therefore, that person don't have to try to dress lewd in order to impress you, because his way of dressing don't impress you, because you don't go with the mentality and the frame of mind has body parts, but you go with the mind has a person. If you understand that. I'm telling you, because of our culture, we have to be dressing properly in church, because we have a mindset when you see certain way, he's going to want to think and go into certain realm to lust. But on the other hand, if I can teach you how to look at a person as a person, I don't care if she walking even half naked, that ain't going to impress you, because you doesn't see her as breast, leg, and thigh. You see her as an individual, as a person, or him as an individual, as a person. The mindset is wrong, and that's why we struggle. Anytime the mindset is wrong, we struggle with all type of issues, personally, internal issues. That's why you fall. That's why you want to lie with him. You're going to lie with the guy because he's going to give you a dagger. You're going to lie with him because he talks sweet. You will not lie with him until you first have some attraction to that person. But if I can teach a church, when you're walking in the house of God, regardless of what you see, you focus on a person is a person. You know, the people in relationship are so